Stations are the key points in a layout where control points, also known as junctions or interlockings, are located. There are a few exceptions to that rule, with areas that are sometimes known as holdouts, but for the purposes of this video, we are going to set up a general station where tracks commingle with one another. You will notice the diagram for this video is different than what was shown in the previous video. That is because I went ahead and developed a slightly more complex control point so that the remaining features to be discussed in later videos can be talked about in depth. So to create a station, use the Station tool on the Designer Tools window. After selecting this tool, click an open area inside the grid. The area you click is where the station name will be centered to in the layout. Once you have selected the area to place the Station Properties window will open. From here, there are several properties that must be defined. Let's start with the name of the station. We'll name this station Test Station A. This name field can also hold valid HTML markup code as well, so that you can exact absolute control over how to style the station name in the layout. If you do not know how to code HTML, do not worry, as it is not required, but it can come in handy down the road. If you would like to learn how to use HTML, visit https://www.w3schools.com/HTML to get started. Next, we'll give the station an address. This is the numerical address of the actual station you are mapping. Next, we'll define a station call-up letter. For this example, let's use the letter A for simplicity. The next property defines whether the station uses a mixture of two different protocols. By default, we will leave this value set to no. This setting is mostly only found in areas where older transmission protocols are still used, but are embedded with updated protocol shells. You'll know about this if you have any experience with these types of stations in ATCS Monitor. The next two properties are the control and indication labels that packets are transmitted with. For this example, control will be set to 9.0.1 and the indication will be set to 9.2.11. The next property is the station timeout. This value is how many minutes should pass by without receiving any data before the station is considered to have timed out. The default is 5 minutes, and that is where we will leave it. The next property is the allow control reset. This property instructs the station as to whether or not it should drop cleared routes when control messages are received that don't have clearance instructions defined. If this value is set to no, then unless an STZ stop mnemonic is directly issued by dispatch, the signal will not drop until an indication message forces it to. The default value is yes, and we will leave it at that. The next two properties are the X and Y positions where the station will appear in the layout. By default, the area you clicked in the designer grid is where the station will be centered on at this point. When you're finished creating a station and then you feel the area you clicked in isn't the best place for it, you can always return here and adjust these values manually. The next several tabs below are the mnemonic definitions. These definitions are packet mapping instructions that dictate what happens at the station when the corresponding packet type is received. By default, there are no instructions, and so we will have to define them outright. To do so, click the Add button to add a new row of instructions. From here, you can define each instruction bit individually. Now, in order to spare a massive task and time-consuming process for new layouts that are being redesigned in Trainmon 5 using the original corresponding ATCS monitor layout as a guide, you can copy and paste a whole list of comma-separated mnemonic instructions into the first available box, and the program will automatically fill in the fields for you. For example, I have here a complete list of indication instructions for the station I am recreating that was retrieved from the MCP file from ATCS Monitor. So I will copy this list and highlight everything in the first input box and then paste inside of it. As you see, the other input boxes have updated with their correct values automatically. The program will warn you if you do not have enough input boxes to copy all of the instructions. If that happens, simply add more rows and try to paste again. Once all of your station information is defined, click the Save button and you should now see your station display on the layout and be centered to the area you clicked. Stations will always have a green outline around their name that shows up only in the editor program. You will not see this green outline in the runtime program. And with that, you have now created a station.